Here, take this. Are you all right?
I appreciate it, but I really shouldn't.
You know, they say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. But I think they got that wrong. I think the road to hell is paved with absence, with the comfortable silence of looking the other way because you're too busy building a legacy to check the foundation of the house you're standing on. I learned that lesson in the hardest way possible, sitting in a cracked vinyl booth in the back of my own diner, watching a woman I treated like a sister destroy the lives of the people I swore to protect. My name is Elijah Bennett, but in Detroit, folks used to just call me Eli, the guy who took a boarded-up auto shop on the corner of Michigan Avenue and turned it into the Iron Skillet, a place that wasn't just about grits and gravy. It was about redemption. My mama, Rose, God rest her soul, she used to tell me, Eli, a hot meal is the first step to healing, and she died believing that. Collapsed right there on the line during a Sunday rush, clutching a spatula like it was a scepter. When I buried her, I made a vow to the dirt covering her casket that I would run that place the way she did, with dignity first and profit second. We hired the unhireable, ex-cons, recovering addicts, single moms living out of their cars if you were willing to work. You had a place at the Skillet, and for 10 years, it was beautiful. It was gritty and loud and smelled like bacon grease and hope. But then, success happened. And success is a tricky devil because it pulls you away from the thing you love, under the guise of expanding it. I started getting invited to panels, you know, conscious capitalism summits in Aspen and TED Talks in London, talking about how I cracked the code on second chance employment. I became a face on a magazine cover while the actual faces of my employees started to blur in my memory. I needed someone to run the ship while I was out being a visionary, so I handed the keys to Lorraine. Gable Rainey. Rainey was my greatest success story, or so I thought. I found her sleeping behind our dumpster 7 years ago, shivering in a coat 3 sizes too big, running from a past that included a felony fraud conviction that made her radioactive to every HR department in the city. I gave her a mop, then an apron, then a calculator, and eventually, I gave her my trust. She was sharp, organized, and ruthless with costs, exactly what a business needs, right? Every weekly report she sent me while I was in Paris or Tokyo was perfect green arrows up, costs down, staff retention stable. But then the text started. It began 2 weeks ago. Just anonymous pings from a burner phone while I was in a hotel room in Geneva. Check the Skillet. You don't know what she's doing. Come home or there won't be a home left. I tried to call back, but the line was always dead. Then came the financial red flag from my accountant. Labor costs were creeping up, but our bank deposits were flatlining. It didn't make sense. Rainey's report said everyone was working strict 40-hour weeks, no overtime, lean and mean. So I did the only thing I could do. I lied. I told Rainey I was extending my trip for a month to tour vineyards in Italy. Instead, I flew coach back to Detroit, rented a motel room 3 blocks from the diner that smelled like stale cigarettes and regret, and I put on a disguise, not a fake mustache or anything cartoonish, just an old, stained Carhartt jacket, a Tigers baseball cap pulled low, and a pair of thick glasses I used to wear before LASIK. I walked into the Iron Skillet at 6:45 a.m. on a Tuesday, looking like just another old man down on his luck, looking for a cheap breakfast and a warm corner. The bell above the door jingled, a sound that used to make my heart soar, but the air inside, it felt heavy, thick with a tension you could taste faster than the coffee. I slid into the back corner booth, the one with the torn upholstery I'd been meaning to fix for 3 years. I ordered coffee and dry toast from a server named Tasha. Tasha was new to me, a young black woman with eyes that looked like they hadn't seen sleep in a decade. Her hands were shaking as she poured the coffee, splashing a little on the saucer. "I'm so sorry, sir," she whispered, looking terrified, her eyes darting toward the kitchen. "I'll get a fresh one. Please don't be mad. It's fine, darlin', just coffee," I said, keeping my voice raspy and low. "No harm done." She breathed out like she'd just dodged a bullet. That was the first crack in the facade. In my diner, spilling coffee meant you got a rag, not a panic attack. I sat there, nursing that lukewarm brew, and I just watched. I saw the kitchen door swing open and saw Marcus. A line cook I'd hired 3 years ago, a guy who used to sing Motown hits while flipping burgers looking like a ghost. He was moving with a frantic, jerky energy, his eyes hollow. And then, out walked Rainey. She looked immaculate. Tailored blazer, hair slicked back, holding a clipboard like a weapon. She didn't walk through the dining room. She patrolled it. She stopped at a table where an elderly couple was eating, put on a blindingly fake smile, chatted for 30 seconds, and then the smile dropped the instant she turned. "One call, Tasha," Rainey hissed. "Child Protective Services is on speed dial. Unstable living environment. Neglect. Who do you think they're going to believe? The manager of a respectable establishment, or a girl with a record who can't even hold a serving tray steady?" Tasha was openly weeping now, silent tears streaming down her face, trying to make herself small, trying to disappear. "Please, Ms. Gable, I'll work the double. I'll do the close open. Just don't call." "That's what I thought," Rainey said, smiling, actually smiling. "Close tonight at midnight. Open tomorrow at 4 a.m. Don't be late." My blood was boiling so hot I thought the veins in my neck were going to snap. This wasn't management. This was extortion. This was slavery with a namadig. I gripped the edge of the table, ready to stand up, ready to end it right there. But then my phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from the same unknown number. "Don't blow your cover yet. You haven't seen the half of it. Meet me in the alley in 10. I waited until Rainey went back into her office. I threw a $10 bill on the table, more than the coffee was worth, and slipped out the back exit. The alley was cold, smelling of wet cardboard and city grit. Standing there, shivering in a thin hoodie, was a woman I recognized, Sophia. She was my original head chef, the woman who helped me develop the menu. I thought she had retired to Florida 2 years ago. Rainey had told me she wanted to enjoy the sunshine. "Sophia?" I asked, pulling off my glasses. She looked at me with a mix of relief and fury. "You look like hell, Eli." "I feel like it," I said. "What are you doing here?" "I thought you were in Boca." "Boca?" She laughed, a bitter, jagged sound. "Rainey fired me 2 weeks after you left for that London trip. Said I was stealing inventory. She forged my signature on a confession, Eli. Threatened to have me arrested if I didn't walk away quietly and forfeit my pension. She what?" I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "She's systematically clearing out everyone who knows you," Sophia said, stepping closer. "Anyone with a memory of how things used to be is gone, replaced by people she can leverage. Tasha, she's on probation. Marcus, his brother, is undocumented. Rainey hunts for their weak spots, and she digs her thumbs in. It's not a diner anymore, Eli. It's a prison camp. I saw her take Tasha's tips," I said, my voice shaking. "I saw her threaten her kid. That's the appetizer," Sophia spat. "She's running a double set of books. She's working them 60, 70 hours a week and paying them for 40. She pockets the difference. She's selling their personal data to predatory lenders. She's switched the vendors, Eli. That farm-to-table bacon you pay for, it's industrial sludge now. She's billing the company for premium and buying garbage." "How do you know all this?" "Because I still have eyes inside," Sophia said. "And because tonight, she's getting careless. She leaves the real ledger in her safe, the one she thinks nobody knows the combination to. But I know it, because it's your mother's birthday. She never bothered to change the default code you set 10 years ago. Tonight?" I asked. "Tonight," Sophia nodded. "We go in after close. We get the book. We get the files. And tomorrow morning, you remind her whose name is on the sign out front." I spent the rest of the day in that motel room, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of 18 months of negligence pressing down on my chest. I thought about my mom. I thought about the speeches I gave about dignity and empowerment, while my people were being bled dry. I realized then that being a good man isn't a status you achieve and keep forever. It's a practice, and I had stopped practicing. At 1 a.m., the alley was pitch black. Sophia met me by the loading dock. She had a key she'd never given hers back, and Rainey was too arrogant to change the locks. We slipped into the kitchen. It was ghostly quiet, but the air still held the smell of burnt grease, cheap grease. Not the good stuff we used to use. We crept to the office. The door squeaked as we opened it. Rainey's office was cleaner than I ever kept it, sterile. We went to the safe behind the painting of the Detroit skyline. I punched in the numbers, 08 to 4, August 24th, Mama's birthday. The light turned green. The lock clicked. Inside, there were stacks of cash Tasha's tips, probably and to binders. One blue, one red. The blue one was the one she sent to my accountant. The red one was a horror story. I opened it under the beam of Sophia's flashlight. It was meticulous. Columns for official hours and actual hours. Columns for leverage. Next to Marcus's name, she had written, "Brother, ice tip line." Next to Tasha, CPS neglect case. Next to a kid named Leo, parole violation, failed drug test fabricated. Closing parenthesis. She was tracking how much she stole from them down to the cent. Over 18 months. The total at the bottom of the last page was staggering $340,000. Stolen from the poorest people in the city. Stolen from single moms and ex-cons trying to fly straight. But then I found the folder at the back of the safe. It was labeled insurance. I opened it, and my breath hitched. It was a file on me. Photos of me at dinners, out of context. Forged emails making it look like I was the one ordering the cuts. Affidavits she had forced employees to sign blank pages. She could fill in later accusing me of everything from negligence to harassment. She was going to frame you, Sophia whispered, shining the light on the papers. If you ever came back, she was going to burn you to the ground. She wanted a war, I said. Closing the binder, my hands steady for the first time all day. She's got one. We took photos of everything. We took the red binder. We took the hard drive from her computer. We left the office exactly as we found it, locked the safe, and slipped out into the night. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. I showered, shaved the stubble, put on my best suit, the charcoal one I wore to my mother's funeral, and I waited. At 7 a.m. The morning rush was just starting. The diner was packed. I walked up to the front door, not as the old man in the hoodie, and not as the absent owner. I walked in as the son of Rose Bennett. I pushed the door open. The bell chimed. Rainey was standing at the counter, berating Marcus about the speed of the toast. Faster, Marcus. Do you want to go back to the cell? Because I can make that happen. Good morning, Rainey. Eli, wait, let's go to the office, Rainey said, her voice pitching up an octave. That fake professional smile plastering itself onto her face like a bad sticker. She took a step toward me, hands out, trying to corral me away from the audience. We have so much to catch up on. The numbers are great. I can show you we're not going to the office, I said, planting my feet in the center of the dining room. I looked around. I saw Tasha frozen by the coffee machine, terror in her eyes because she didn't know if I was the savior or just the bigger boss, coming to deliver the final blow. I saw Marcus gripping a spatula like a weapon. We're going to talk right here, in front of the people who actually run this place. This is inappropriate, Rainey hissed, dropping the smile. You are embarrassing me. I'm embarrassing you? I laughed, a dry, humorless sound. Rainey, you've been embarrassing humanity for 18 months. I pulled the red binder out of my briefcase. I slammed it onto the nearest table. The thud made a guy eating eggs jump. Do you know what this is? I asked. Rainey stared at the binder. She stopped breathing. She knew exactly what it was. Her eyes darted to the safe in the office, then back to me. The realization hit her I had been here. I knew. That's private property, she stammered. You broke into my office, I corrected. My safe, my diner. And these, I opened the binder to a random page. These are my people. I turned to Marcus. Marcus, step out here, son. Marcus hesitated, looking at Rainey. She shot him a look that promised death, but I stepped between them. Look at me, Marcus. She can't hurt you anymore. Step out here. Marcus walked out from behind the line, wiping his grease-stained hands on his apron. Marcus, I said, reading from the ledger. Last week, you worked 62 hours. Is that right? Yes, sir, Marcus said quietly. And how many hours did you get paid for? 40, sir. And why didn't you say anything? Marcus looked at his shoes. Because Miss Gable said. She said she knew my brother's address. She said if I complained about the overtime, Ice would be knocking on his door by dinner time. A gasp went through the diner. Customers were putting down their forks. Some were pulling out phones. That is a lie. Rainey shrieked. He's lazy. I was doing him a favor by keeping him employed. A favor. I flipped the page. And Tasha, was it a favor when you threatened to call CPS because she wouldn't let you steal her tips? Was it a favor when you forged Sophia's signature and fired her to clear the way for your little reign of terror? Rainey was backing up now, bumping into the counter. You don't understand business, Eli. You were gone. You were off playing celebrity. I had to make the numbers work. I did this for you, to keep your precious profit margins up so you could fly first class. Don't you put this on me, I said, my voice dropping to a dangerous growl. I told you to run a business. You ran a plantation. I pulled a stack of envelopes from my inside pocket. I had spent the morning at the bank. Tasha, I called out. She stepped forward, trembling. Rainey stole $40 from you this morning, I said. And by my calculations, based on this ledger, she's stolen about $12,000 from you over the last year in unpaid overtime and skim tips. I handed Tasha a cashier's check. This is for $20,000. That covers what she took, plus interest, plus a little something for the pain. Tasha looked at the check, her hands shaking so hard she almost dropped it. She looked at me, then at Rainey, and then she burst into tears, not the silent, scared tears from before, but the loud, heaving sobs of relief. Marcus. I handed him another check. $15,000. Get your brother a good lawyer. Make him legal. If you need more, you ask me. I went down the line. I called out the dishwashers, the bussers. I handed out checks until my pocket was empty, and the staff looked like they had just won the lottery. Rainey was hyperventilating. You can't do that. That's company money. You're bankrupting us. No, Rainey, I said, turning to face her one last time. I'm investing. I'm paying the debt I owe for leaving them with a monster. I pulled out my phone. Now, you have two choices. Choice A, you walk out that door right now, with nothing but the clothes on your back. You never come back to Detroit. You never work in management again. And choice B? She sneered, trying to find one last shred of defiance. Choice B. I pointed to the door where the police officers were walking in, officers I had called from the car. Is that I hand this red binder and the hard drive full of your forged documents and blackmail schemes to those gentlemen. You'll be facing charges for embezzlement, fraud, extortion, and about a dozen labor violations. You'll go to prison, Rainey, and unlike the people you hired, you won't survive it. Rainey looked at the cops. She looked at the binder. She looked at me. The fight evaporated. She slumped, looking suddenly small and old. Without a word, she grabbed her purse. Leave the purse, I said. Whatever is in there probably belongs